Hello, my fellow Americans. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One. It's Thursday before the Memorial Day weekend. I hope you guys have a fun and safe holiday. What do you guys think about on Memorial Day? Well, to me, first thing when I think of Memorial Day, it's always Indy 500. I've been there about 10 or 12 times. I haven't been there since the 80s, though. God, I need to get back there. What a great race. Greatest race on the planet. There's nothing like it. I've been to Formula One, I've been to NASCAR. There's nothing else like the Indy 500. Anyway, the other thing is, you think about those people that have sacrificed for this country. Question is, what did they really sacrifice for? I mean, my grandfather, World War I, my father, World War II, my uncle, World War II. Actually, a couple uncles, World War II. I think one of them Korean War. But when you look at what's going on in this country today and what they're turning it into, and what direction we're heading, somehow something got lost. Something got lost. I was reading on a couple different websites and in a couple different books, and it just seems to me that we the people have just gotten so away from life, from living life. We've been turned into workers, working for a living. We've been sold the American dream, that idea. But it was all an illusion, all a facade. We get people, they go to jail or prison if they get caught robbing a 7-Eleven, but you get the bankers on Wall Street who rob the entire nation, and what do they get? They get contracts, hundreds of millions, billions, if not trillions of dollars to do with what they want. And who pays for it? You do, I do. It's something's wrong. And people, I mean, the last time we spoke here, I told you about the ballot. I was wrong. It wasn't 5 out of 23. It was only 4 out of 22. 4 out of 22 seats were opposed. 18 ran unopposed. And the voter turnout was about 26%. That's like 1 out of 4 people decided it was worth their while to vote. To me, that just means people have given up. They don't care. It's not important to them. They have no faith, trust, or belief in the system at all. My senator's coming to town, decided he's going to visit Mayberry next week. I'm going to ask the senator. Hopefully I'll get called on. I usually try and sit front and center so they can't miss me. I'm going to ask him why he spends millions of dollars to get elected to a job that pays, maybe $100,000 or so. I'm going to look up the numbers so I get them exact. And say, as a businessman, it wouldn't make sense for me to invest $1 million if I'm only going to get back $100,000. So obviously something else is going on here. And maybe you could explain it to we the people. Because it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make fiscal sense. But, you see, we've all been sold this bill of goods, this consumerism, instead of doing for yourself. And slowly but surely, it's gotten to the point where we might not be able to reverse this system by ballot. Because the have-nots, the people on the receiving end, outnumber the people on the giving end. There's more people getting money from the government than putting money into it. And of course, if you think back, this country was founded because the original settlers got a little upset with the king over the tea tax and a few other things, but the tea tax, they didn't like that at all. But nowadays There's people out there, Americans, born and bred Americans, raised Americans, who want the government to levy more and higher taxes. What's wrong with this picture? I mean, come on. What are people like that thinking? Where did they come from? I see it in Facebook, squabbles, rants, debates all the time. I hear people talking about it. Oh, those rich, we need to tax them. We need to tax them. No, no. I mean, my fellow Americans, once again, if you don't get to keep every penny that you earned, you're a slave. If you have to give it to somebody under threat of confinement or execution, you're a slave. It's just that simple. It's no different than if you were growing a crop and the sheriff of Nottingham came by and made you give him, half or more. It's no different. If the fruits of your labors aren't entirely yours to keep, then you are not free. It's that simple. I mean, look in nature, If the cheetah runs down the antelope and he's chowing down on it, unless there's a bigger, badder cheetah, he's going to eat everything. If there's a bigger, badder cheetah, there might be a fight, or the weaker cheetah just runs and gives it up. And I guess that's the way it is, You and I, we're weaker. So the big bad government comes in and they just take what they want. The 535 people in the House and Senate, they just decide, we want this. Stroke of a pen, a vote, that's it. They implement it. Then they send out people with guns to execute it. And to execute you if you don't comply. I mean, freedom's one of those concepts that people just don't understand. They want to restrict what you can say because it hurts somebody else's feelings. I mean, when did we start to become such a wimpy nation that we're just so concerned about what we say because it might hurt somebody else's feelings? I mean, I'm not talking about just being rude. That's just manners. That's just how you were brought up, whether or not you're rude, polite. But just some of this stuff about offending, taking down religious symbols because it offends somebody else. Well, if you don't like it, look somewhere else. I mean, it's ridiculous. It just really is. I mean, somehow Obama and his cronies have figured out a way to infiltrate and just pervert everything that was American. He said he wanted to fundamentally change the country. I guess take it from a nation of people who want to do for themselves and turn it into people who are beholden to the government and looking for a handout. I mean, I'm sure he'd spin it a different way, but sometimes you look at intentions, but usually you have to look at results. Because good intentions, bad results, I mean, you know about that. I don't have to tell you. But anyway, to wrap up, my fellow Americans, Memorial Day, it's time to wake up and smell the tyranny.